Welcome back to another episode of the NRI Cricketer, and I am here again with Vinay Joseph. What is up?
A lot is up. How's everyone doing after some crazy test match cricket?
Yeah, it's been a crazy weekend, hasn't it? It's just like everything's just sort of happened around the world, even. But we'll get right into it, I guess. In this episode, we'll gonna uncover the loss that was. Bazball has finally arrived, and we have England winning the first test.
Yes, the greatest. What are they calling it? The Hyderabadi. What is it? Something I can't remember. Sorry, but it's like I don't know how they've managed to come back and win. Via Bazball. So
well, that's the thing, right? Like. And I saw
Hyderabadi heist.
The Hyderabadi heist. The heist of Hyderabad.
Yes.
England have done it with Bazball. And, we've been saying Bazball on this podcast for a while now. And the media's made up this term. Well, I saw Ben Stokes just before the match sort of say, he doesn't really like the term Bazball. He just likes to call it positive English cricket, which is not as catchy as Bazball. So we're going to keep on calling it Bazball, But India, what went wrong? Every time I come on this podcast, it feels like I'm trying to analyze what's gone wrong. And
well, I mean,
another loss and another, I guess, collapse. And we've been outplayed again by a foreign team in our own home soil.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like that. It wasn't expected, right? Because we were batting last on that pitch.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was partially expected.
Yeah.
But when I was watching it, I knew like fourth innings, India's going to collapse. Like there's no backbone in the team. Yeah, I just felt like because we all know because Virat Kohli is not there.
That's a big blow.
A big chunk taking it out of the middle order there.
Just before, and we sometimes that's how things work. We'd record an episode. The next day, there's news that comes out, and it was that Virat Kohli was taking us some personal time, and
unfortunately, he won't be there for the next test either.
Yeah, so the first two test matches. And look, I really don't like to pry into cricketers' personal lives and what they've got going on. But hopefully, it's okay with him. There's, he's a legend of Indian cricket and. He can take as much time as he needs, as far as I'm concerned.
Do you think it could be related to Ishan Kishan not being selected?
No, I'm not going to speculate, and because the BCCI told me not to speculate.
Okay.
They told me specifically not to speculate on it, so I won't. But yeah, I mean, without him, then I was on social media just saying where the hell is Sarfaraz Khan in this? And the dude's averaging nearly 70, and he didn't get picked, and I think Rajat Patidar got picked as part of the team. Son averages 45. So, I mean, Sarfaraz is averaging 70, and I think recently over the weekend also got a 160 against England Lions. So he's definitely making a case. And look, I've read the comments. I've read the TikTok comments, the YouTube comments that there is this attitude that Sarfaraz Khan has that is sort of holding him back from getting picked. But I don't know. The guy's averaging 70. I don't give a shit what his attitude is, to be quite honest. If he's averaging 70, he's just scoring me runs, right? Which is what went wrong in the second innings for India, is that we just couldn't score the runs.
Well, before he got injured, Prithvi Shaw was also scoring runs. But I think there's a lot of other issues they look at. There must be some things happening behind the scenes, that
we're not privy to. That a lot of the public's probably.
Yeah, he didn't even get selected into the squad, which is a bit strange. But hopefully he gets a look in at some point, because I think he did debut a while back before in one day or T20 in the Indian team.
No, he didn't. No.
It must have been India A possibly. But he didn't do anything exciting at that time. Now he's obviously matured and he's playing a lot better.
And I see him more of a test batsman as well. He's not really. He's limited overs. I don't think he's performed, but. I mean, look, we can analyze it now, what's happened.
Yeah, and
to me, I mean, we can go through the whole first innings and second innings if you want, but I don't really want to do that.
We're just on the topic of selection there, while we're just talking about selection, because interestingly, before the Test match, they were talking about whether they're going to go with Jaiswal or they're going to go with Gill. Yeah. They ended up having to go with both, which I think was a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, Gill's, I don't know what's going on with Gill. There's something
Post dengue, the
post dengue in the World Cup.
recovery.
The guy has just looked different, hasn't he? Like really, like seriously, since that dengue fever at the World Cup, his timing has been off. He's just not really struck the ball like he used to.
Sachin, come on, man, get him in the nets. Come on,
Yeah, get your son-in-law on the nets, man.
get him in the nets, man.
But
That's been a bit of a downfall because since the World Cup,
Yeah.
like before the World Cup, Gill was he's an amazing, he still
he was
is
in
an
the
amazing batsman.
purple patch of his career,
Yeah.
and now he's in like a sort of down period. There's been a couple of innings where he's looked quite ordinary getting out. Some
Just the manner
ordinary
that he's
shots.
got, just the manner that he's got now. You're right,
Yeah.
like just the shots that he's played, and he's just not timing it at all now. So
Yeah.
it's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. It wasn't just him. It was for me. It's the middle order. I think it's trash at the moment. Gill is out of form. Shreyas, I don't know what we do with Shreyas now.
Didn't he score 80 in the first inning?
No, but like, he doesn't look good. Did he score 80? Let me remember.
First innings?
No, he scored 35.
Rahul scored 80.
Rahul scored it. Rahul's great. So 35 and 13 is Shreyas' scores.
Okay.
Now look, he has not looked good in a long time. Obviously during the World Cup he was firing, and then towards the end of it he didn't. And that form has carried through to that South Africa series, and now it's carried through to this first test, and he's just getting out in very ordinary ways as well. He obviously has a problem with the short ball. That's very much well known now. And I'm just wondering, he has a problem with the short ball. What's going to happen when next year when they come to Australia? Like, they got 5 tests here now. This isn't like we can skip, go on to Perth or Gabba or wherever. Like, they're going to throw some really bouncy pitches at him. You're going to have Stark, Cummins, and Hazelwood bowling it. Like,
Sarfaraz can't.
but like, that's the thing, like, Shreyas has a weakness against the short ball. Otherwise, I'm a fan of Shreyas. Like, he's a good player. Solid player, but like, he does have a problem against that short ball, and like, he's got to work out that, the problem in it with some proper training. I think, like, going back to the nets and really figuring out what the actual issue is there.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, if we look at the innings, India played good for the first innings, right? India, had England in various positions to bowl them out for quite a low score, and they eventually put on a big total themselves, right, in the first innings. Yeah. And then the second innings, when I was talking about a little bit earlier that it was predictable, I think once previous we've spoken about India getting themselves into a really good position, but just not finishing it off, right? And that happened in this test match as well.
But I think the highlight, Ollie Pope, he just swept the ball, and he did a statement after saying, he thought that the sweep shot is actually more safe than an actual defensive shot.
And he was doing reverse sweep shots as well.
He was doing reverse sweep shots. Like, really, he's saying that's safer to play in India than an actual defense. And that was like a pretty shocking thing to say, but like the way he was sweeping it kind of looked like that as well, didn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, to me personally, I don't think the sweep shot's that safe. But if he's saying and he's playing it that way and scoring 190 runs, like 195,
that just sort of, I mean, it shows Stokes's England team now, the Bazball approach and the no fear approach. How they started the whole match, like they were like, was it 18 or 3 overs? Like, they're really like that positive cricket that they're playing is paying dividends for them, England, and they've performed everywhere where they think they wouldn't have performed. Ben Stokes has called this one of the greatest wins under his captaincy, which is a big call, right? But it's all a testament to how they play, and good old Baz himself, Brendan McCullum, he's loving it.
Well, like we said, I think in the preview as well, we spoke about, England have a really good lineup on paper.
Yeah.
And they just didn't need to perform. Like in the World Cup, they didn't perform, right?
No.
Really good lineup. And we said it would be tough if the players started performing. Like, we saw Johnny Bairstow perform. Like, he
Yeah.
stuck in there in the middle when he needed to, right?
Yeah.
We saw the spin bowlers come through. Like, we saw Joe Root given the ball again, and he bowled
Yeah.
really well. He opened the bowling, I think, in the
Yeah,
thing.
Joe was very good. Joe's got a very good average in India. It's like early 20s, 21, 22 or something.
Yeah.
Like, he's a gun in India
Yeah.
with the ball.
Like, everyone stepped up when
Yeah.
they needed to. And that's when England is really dangerous because on paper, great squad,
Yeah.
and they were performing. So that's...
A bit of a disappointment was Rehan Ahmed, actually. I mean, I'm a leggy myself, and I've been in for leg spinners, but he just didn't perform.
I think it's a bit tough when you've got the two other bowlers who are taking the wickets.
Yeah.
Because the captain is less likely to make a change and bring you in only when really like they've been exhausted, then he'll bring you in.
Yeah.
Where it's a bit tough, but I feel like that combination of Hartley and Root is what.
Hartley and Root, that really did take him to the win there, and
Speaking of Hartley,
7 wickets.
on debut, pretty good. That's just,
Very good.
Well done,
I mean, the first
say.
innings he wasn't that great, 2 for 131. It was okay, got some wickets, but then mate, he came back in the second, 7 for 62.
Mate, I don't know what Gordon Ramsay cooked in that break there, but he came back 7 for 62.
T-bones and filet mignons and all this sort of stuff, mate. He cooked all of it. Beef Wellingtons and all that shit. But he just we just didn't have an answer for Tom Hartley. It's just that was at the end of the day we collapsed and we didn't have an answer. No one stayed in there. Obviously towards the end there was a little bit of a fight with Ashwin and Bharat, but this should have been taken care of by a middle order.
Yeah, and it looked. I mean, we lost by 28 runs at
Yeah,
the
at
end?
the end of the day, it's 28 runs. But
Yeah, but you're right. The position that India was in, they really should have wrapped that up a little earlier.
And I mean, this does sort of ask another question. I feel like I keep saying this on this podcast. Why wasn't Kuldeep picked? It's an odd sort of decision.
It was tough though, I think, because on one hand you have Akshar Patel who destroyed England last time.
Yes, you had to play Akshar.
Right.
That I understand. You had to play Akshar. My questioning is with Ravichandran Ashwin. Now, is he past his prime? Is he is this are we playing Ashwin when maybe he's not there anymore?
I agree. I would question that as well. But when I was watching the match, when he came on to bowl, he was the wicket taker.
Yeah, there was things happening, but I don't know. It isn't the old Ashwin that would tear through teams like he used to,
I
right?
need Vince to say, I want the old Ashwin.
Oh, we can't talk about Vince here. Vince McMahon.
Vince.
Vince naughty Vince McMahon. No.
Yeah, you're right. Though Ashwin, is a different bowler now than he was back then. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think to me, Kuldeep is if you're going for a frontline spinner, right? And they could only play the one frontline spinner and the two all-round spinners, so they'd have to either replace Ashwin or, my opinion, replace Siraj, who's
that's what I was gonna.
completely out of form.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think India should have gone with 3 specialist spinners instead
I think for that pitch we probably should have.
instead of 2 fast bowlers?
It's Siraj though. I'm a bit concerned about his form. Some days he's getting 7 wickets, and then some days he just doesn't look threatening at all. Is he one of those bowlers that requires the pitch to sort of help him, or
To be honest,
because we saw Bumrah on that pitch really just bowl amazingly.
well, 2 things. Bumrah is a legend.
Yeah.
Okay. And another thing, that pitch was difficult for fast bowlers because even Mark Wood from England was finding it tough.
Yeah,
Bumrah is in a league of his own.
that's the class of Bumrah to get those.
He's got so much variation, Bumrah, that he can bowl on any pitch and make it look good. So, I mean, it was a bit tough. I would have played Siraj before the test. I would have picked him, but it's tough when you've got that sort of pitch, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. Excuse me. All in all, it was, a match that we lost only by 28 runs. But at the end of the day, there are problems in our middle order that need to get fixed. Virat. We can't really talk with Virat for the next test, and we'll get on to what we think now should be, I guess, the lineup and what's our strategy for the next test. What are we doing there?
The tough thing is it's one test. do you just start dropping players? After one test, like it's difficult, right? Players like Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer, like they're under the radar slightly. Okay,
Yeah.
but I just don't. I don't feel like Dravid will be the one to say we're going to drop them after one test. I feel like it's a
No.
five test series.
He'll give him the series.
Yeah.
But I guess in the bowling is where we could sort of think. I mean, it is at Vishakhapatnam, Vizag, so I'm not sure. It used to be a really sort of lowish sort of pitch, Vizag, but I don't know how it is these days.
Wait, it's not the World Cup final
No.
curator, is he? Is he
No.
back? Oh, okay, good. Okay,
But yeah, Vizag. I mean, you could play Siraj. It's still at Vizag, I think it's. But we just have to see what the pitch is. Is it? Are they going to produce a raging Turner? I think it is a bit of a mistake if we do that. Our fast bowlers are actually better than our spinner bowlers, and we saw that in South Africa. Like the class of our fast bowlers, I think outranks our spin bowlers, and we should be preparing pitches that are suitable to our fast bowlers.
The way England played and their spinners played in the first test, 100% is not going to be a spinning track. It's going to be hard and fast.
Yeah, the pitch curator is like, oh shit, did we do something wrong? I don't know. Maybe not, no spinning. More grass, we'll get some grass on it. But,
It'll be interesting, whatever they do.
who would you, so who are you dropping? Who's in, who's out?
Look, I think I feel like you've got to drop Gill, unfortunately.
Ooh,
I know it's
that's
tough.
a big call.
It's a big call, but not just this test, like the South Africa series, and even before that, Gill has not been in form since the World Cup at all. Like he's just not timing it. I feel the manner in which he's getting out. The thing is, who's gonna come in, right? Who's the number 3 batsman that can come in? It's very difficult.
Well, here's the thing, right? It has to be Rajat Patidar, right?
And he's
And he's an uncapped guy. I don't know, like, do you play him? He's averaging 45 in first class.
He's a good player. I've
Yeah.
seen him play. He's good. He's a good player. But look, to be honest, I wouldn't drop Gill. I mean, if anyone, it would be Gill, but I wouldn't drop him at the moment. I don't think.
I don't think Gill's done enough to be dropped. I think Shreyas has, like, completely just not performed in the past couple of months, right? And that's the truth of that matter, is that he hasn't performed. And
If Virat Kohli was there, it would be easier to drop Shreyas Iyer.
yeah,
The problem is, like, who do you bring in for Shreyas Iyer in that squad at the moment, right?
yeah.
I don't think there's anyone who they can say, okay, this guy's got experience, he's got skill, and we'll bring him in instead of Shreyas.
This is where I was like, maybe bringing in a youngster wasn't the right move into the squad for the first 2 tests. Maybe someone like a Pujara coming back just to because there's a lot of youngsters in this middle order that Pujara would have given them that sort of solid person that has experience.
So what are you saying, Gill for Pujara?
I'd say Shreyas for Pujara, actually. It just make the middle order look a bit more stronger, right? But
Just another controversial comment here. Some people might find it controversial, but Rohit Sharma? We have this conversation all the time.
well, here's the thing, man. He's not getting dropped until he's dropped from his captaincy first.
He's not getting dropped until he gets fired.
But I mean, in Test cricket, no, he hasn't performed. He's due for an innings, and I don't know whether. I mean, he's got to perform, but he kind of doesn't at the moment. Like, because there's been no indication that even after the World Cup loss that the BCCI was looking to get rid of him, or move on to someone else, or groom someone else as a captain. There's been no indication of any of that. Maybe a Hardik Pandya for T20s is what they're grooming, but I don't. After his back injury, I don't think they're on the Hardik Pandya train anymore. BCCI.
And especially after they replaced Rohit in Mumbai Indians for Hardik Pandya.
Yeah,
There's a bit of animosity there.
there's a bit of animosity there. My ins and outs would be to. I mean, if we're just dealing with the squad that we have now, I'd probably have to stick with the team in terms of the batters. The only in would be for me is to get Ashwin to come in. I mean, Ashwin to go out and Kuldeep to come in.
Interesting.
Because mainly because I don't know what that Vizag pitch is. If it's another spinning pitch, then Kuldeep comes in for Siraj.
Siraj, yeah, I agree. I think India should go with a 3 specialist spinner tactic if it's a spin friendly pitch.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Bumrah and Siraj if it's a normal sort of fast bowler's pitch. So be interesting.
Yeah, it will be interesting, and we'll just see what happens. February 2nd, Vizag.
4 tests.
On.
4 tests to go. We're 1-0 down India, and there's 4 tests to go, so it should be exciting.
Yeah, and another thing that was exciting over the weekend, West Indies winning a shocker. That was insane.
What are you talking about? That was expected.
I don't know who was watching this series after the first test. But mate, they really turned it on in that second match there.
Exactly.
And they leveled the series.
Another case for at least minimum 3 test matches in a series.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
this happened with South Africa.
Yeah.
South Africa versus India. It was a 2-match series for some reason. It was 1-1. Australia versus West Indies, closely fought series, 1-1, and there's no third test.
It is sort of bringing to light that maybe 2 test series aren't something, shouldn't be a thing. Doesn't make sense. And I think I heard Sunil Gavaskar say these are pointless. Why play 2 test series? It doesn't mean anything. Especially when teams are touring around the world. They usually, and we saw this with India, they take time to get used to the conditions, and once they do, they fire, right? And that's exactly what's happened here with West Indies. They've taken some time to get used to the Australian conditions, and they're a young group as well, and they've done really well. And mate, Shamari Joseph.
Well, I was going to say, let's talk about the superstar S. Joseph here.
Oh man, I've had so many people text me, man, you play for West Indies? They're like, no, mate, S. Joseph. Oh yeah, I was like, I took some time off and just sort of started playing international cricket. Yeah.
So he was also in his debut series, and he got 7 for 68.
Well, a star is born, right? Shamari Joseph. You think, right? He's just showed incredible grit, incredible talent. There's just something about him. He's got that it factor.
He reminds me of, he's got the same flair as Bravo.
Yes.
Similar bowling. He's bowling faster. He's bowling 145 plus deliveries here. But he's got similar to Bravo sort of flair and, that competitiveness, which is good to see in a young, fast, West Indian bowler. Yeah,
and we saw Steve Smith open as well in this test series. What would you consider his was it a flop? Was it? He scored 91 not out in the second innings, but still
he still needs more chances.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't just put a batsman in an opening position.
It's very hard because you got to adjust your technique, and there's a lot involved, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, he's open. He's got 91. So
but he would be used to coming in the first couple of overs when Warner used to get out pretty quick.
Oh.
But no, it is different. The mentality is different. You got to prepare differently. And yes, he's failed a couple of times, but he's done well in the last innings. I think you've got to give him a few more chances.
Yeah, and we'll discuss this briefly, but the Gabba.
Fortress.
Mate,
no more.
What the hell? Ever since Tim Payne, that grub, I call him a grub, Tim Payne, ever since that guy, ever since he did that thing with Ashwood and he at the Gabba, that place has now been cursed.
Jinxed it.
He's jinxed the Gabba, Tim Payne. It's just...
India won when they went to the Gabba after
incredible. That? It's become a place of miracles for touring teams. India with that incredible victory.
The West Indies now.
And now West Indies. We're going to see what happens next with the Gabba because apparently Tim Payne has cursed it.
They want to break that curse now.
After being a fortress for so long, it's now a curse. Well, it'll be interesting for touring teams once they come down here. The Gabba is not a fortress no more. It's definitely a place where teams can come and compete.
Yeah, and especially if you're a young, fast West Indian bowler. The way he bowled, I got to say, watching him bowl, he's going to bowl at the top of off stump.
Yeah.
Almost every ball was at the top of off stump. And that's what's brilliant about that. It was just watching him, they're going to get a wicket. This guy's going to get out if he doesn't defend it. And what happened? Hazelwood missed it, bang, straight on top of off stump.
Yeah.
Like as a coach, like if you're a bowling coach, that's what you teach your fast bowlers
Yeah.
to hit the top of off, like when you're practicing, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did. So that was great to see.
Yeah.
Another thing was in the commentary as well. It had Brian Lara in the commentary.
Yeah, that was special. Actually, I saw that. Brian Lara's there hugging, and
Gilchrist was
hugging
hugging
Gilchrist, and like, it was a good moment. It was such a good moment.
He was tearing up.
West Indies cricket has been for so much.
Yeah.
It's like when they weren't there at the World Cup last year, it really was one of the lowest points for West Indies. The team that they used to be, the players that they used to have, like Lara, and to not make a World Cup, I think is one of the lowest points. I'm very happy for them that they won that they drew this series,
Yeah.
and won at the Gabba, and they unearthed a star, I think.
And they crossed to Carl Hooper as well. He was tearing up as well. Like,
It's big, it's massive. Touring, that's the thing. Touring teams don't really win at all in Australia here, and I saw like stats there, like India's won 6 times here, six matches here, but there's been a lot of Asian teams that haven't won anything here, not even one match. It's very, very tough to play here. Yes, Pakistan hasn't won a match. Yes, but yes, like it's very tough to win a match here. That's why when India has done it, won a series here twice in a row, I still say that's one of the biggest feats in world cricket to come down here and do that.
And that's why it is such a big thing, because Australia are such a great team. Especially when they play at home, like they are like one of the most formidable teams to beat. Like if you can manage to draw with them, great. If you can manage to beat them in a test in Australia, that's the biggest thing, because the Australian players, like wherever they go, they're good. But when they're in Australia, they have their tails up.
Yeah,
the bowlers have their tails up. And the batters are like, making big scores. It's hard to get on top of them.
Yeah, teams, they usually hammer teams whenever they come down here. That's why it's refreshing to see when they lose. It's big, it's massive, especially like world Test champions, world one day champions that they are, Australia, and they've got beaten by West Indies. It's something that the world cricket needed. Yeah,
and I believe this is Pat Cummins' first Test loss at home.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So yes, that's right.
That's quite interesting. Like,
he's been. He's been winning ever since he became there. That's right. That's right.
He's been tasting success, and now there's the first Test loss at home.
Yeah.
He was probably feeling it a bit as well.
Yeah. So that was big, and we've reached the end. Just the 2 topics today, and
big ups to big ups to the 2 debutants on the same day, like Hartley and Shamar Joseph. Seriously, and they both got 7 wickets, 7 for 60 odd.
That's true. It's a bit of a weird coincidence there, but it's good. You like to see new talent come through that are just incredible, and definitely with Shamari Joseph, we've unearthed the star here. The way he played, and it's just incredible. But we've reached another episode, and we'll see you next week as well, and hopefully India can win the second test. I mean, I feel it's gonna be a very competitive series. I feel like it's gonna be a lot of ups and downs. Could go down to the wire, I reckon. It's gonna be very competitive, but
and I think India should, maybe not in the next test, but in the series, debut 1 or 2 players here and there, because it's a season for great debut.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing, right? Debuts that are really performing. I think it's maybe time for a certain Khan to play.
Tis the season. Tis the season.
Yes. All right, we'll see you the next one. Peace.
See you guys.